Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Marvel Studios Echo. All episodes streaming January 9th, only on Hulu and Disney+. Rated TV MALV. Viewer discretion advised. Maya Lopez has betrayed her mentor, the notorious Kingpin. Now on the run, she returns to her hometown to prepare for the biggest fight of her life. Don't miss Marvel Studios' hardest-hitting series yet. An epic 5-episode event. Marvel Studios Echo. All episodes streaming January 9th, only on Hulu and Disney+.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Caroline, you should tell them about the newest thing that Bloody Happy Hour is doing.
A Patreon.
It's a Patreon. What is that?
That means you're basically like a VIP member, and you get some perks. You maybe get like merch a little earlier. You get
exclusive merch.
You could get first dibs on signing up for a live show. You get episodes with no commercials.
You get our video because our video is no longer available on YouTube. It is only on Patreon. And the most important to me is you get videos of our live shows, but also bonus episodes each month. But if you're on a Patreon, you're VIP, you're going to get more.
Because I always have a lot of details I want to go to. I can law-splain. I might read a book.
This is also going to be the exclusive place that Dirty Chat is going to go to. In order to hear the full content, it's going to be Patreon. Where do they go again?
Patreon.com/BloodyHappyHour.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Okay. Hey y'all, this is April.
And this is Caroline.
And this is Bloody Happy Hour. This is Thirsty Thursday for you. Full episode coming here. And last week, you guys got the Dirty Chat episode 0 teaser. That's all you're going to get unless you go to Patreon. We hoped you loved it. We did get a bunch of new signups, and that is exciting. Episode 1, Patreon people, should be out. I'm editing it today, so it'll be out by the time they hear this.
Oh, my gosh.
Goodness. Okay. So it's coming out slowly but surely, but we are getting it done. Do we need to talk about anything? Do we need to talk about any college football?
Do we need to talk about
Jimmy Buffett dying?
Oh, that happened. Somebody was like, why are they playing Margaritaville, the song? Like, why are they playing? And I was like, he died.
He died.
They're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. That's.
Anything else major?
I don't think so.
We did our quickie so long ago that I don't know if there's been any updates since then.
I don't think so.
Well, Caroline's at a loss for words.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think if there's any trial updates or anything, but there's nothing. There's nothing. There was this I have watched the hot car child trial or something like that. Where it was the mom and the boyfriend. It was the mom's kid. The girl was 12. She had cerebral palsy.
Oh.
She couldn't walk. She was completely dependent on her caretaker, which was her mom. And the boyfriend, like, pretty much kind of tosses her into the backseat of the car. And then they don't go back into the car for 5 hours, but they claim that the car was on. But then they go in, do meth, have sex, come back out. They're just standing on the porch. They don't even go look at the car. Apparently, the lady forgot she was in the car, even though they're like at the house. Then they finally realize, like, she goes and she gets back in the car, and then she gets out, and we're like, how did you not realize your kid was in there? You got in the car. And that's when she like locked her keys in the car. So then they leave the house to go pick up a spare set of keys. Child's still in the car.
Oh, gosh.
The baby, I say the baby, but the child, I mean, completely just burned. Like just blisters and like, because it was like 118 degrees.
That's horrible. I didn't know the backstory. I just saw like the husband now, because they've gotten married, tried to plead with the judge to go lenient on the sentencing or something. Is it the same judge that did the Murdaugh?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Judge Newman.
Yeah. I just saw that because now they're married.
And are they? Okay. So he testified, but she was supposed to the day after him, but then she didn't. She said a lot of stuff whenever the judge was sentencing her. And she just
what did she get?
She's saying she never did drugs and she's never done drugs and blah. Like she just said all this stuff, and she loves her daughter more than anything. She would never do that. But the guy was like, said that, like, admitted to them doing drugs. Yeah. So then she goes and she's lying. I mean, you could tell she obviously has done drugs.
So do you think that it was like malicious? Like she got a new boyfriend and her daughter was getting in her way, so she tried to kill her?
Yeah.
Or that they were just high and irresponsible?
But I think she wanted to get the child out of the way to have fun with her boyfriend, and then drugs, and they didn't even think about her.
Okay. Because there would have been easier way to do it and probably not get caught.
Yeah.
Like this seems like a real drug.
Yeah, because it was all like the whole thing was on camera.
Yeah.
Because they have a camera. And it showed them on the porch, showed the car, and it showed, I mean, everything. It's 5 hours of footage that they played.
And where did they go inside to? Their own house?
Yes.
Why couldn't she just go in the house? The little girl.
There was no reason. Exactly.
Oh, so that's why it would have been on purpose. Okay.
Yeah. So there was no reason to put her in the car. There was no, I mean, and so I guess, drugs. And that poor baby. And so she was sentenced to 37 years and he was sentenced to 32 years. I don't know how you picked, I guess, the malice to like certain charges bring a certain amount of years, I guess, onto the sentence. But
well, maybe she got married to somebody else, because somebody she's been married to since she's been in jail pleaded with the judge on her behalf to get the least amount. And the judge was like, the least amount is 30 years.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So for today's story, I'm taking it back to one of the originals. And let's see if you can guess it. Who does or what does Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, Silence of the Lamb, and American Horror Story all have in common? Or who do they all have in common? Who inspired all of those stories? Or bits and pieces of all those stories? If you don't fucking know this is the end of Bloody Happy Hour, and we're done.
Wait, Hannibal, that's the one.
That's Silence of the Lambs. Have you ever seen it?
Yeah. Oh my God. So wait, they did this person inspired American Horror Story too?
Yeah. Asylum, the doctor on Asylum.
Kevorkian?
Nope. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, and Sides of the Lamb.
Psycho.
With Norman Bates, obsessed with his mom.
Yeah. I can't think of his name.
Ed Gein.
Have we not done Ed Gein?
No. Nope. Have not. And this is a easy story, and I'm just taking it back old school. So he's a real life Leatherface.
Yeah.
Also known as the Butcher of Plainfield.
Oh.
So we're going to make the connections as we go through the story of the movies.
Oh, yeah.
that
Yeah.
he
Yeah. Okay.
inspired.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So he was a Virgo. He was born August 27th, 1906 in La Crosse, Wisconsin, born as Edward Theodore Gein.
This was, yes, another Wisconsin one. Look at it.
Yes, another Wisconsin and a Theodore. Never name your kid Theodore. Theodore Bundy, Theodore Gein. And I'm going to say Gein, so correct me or don't. It doesn't matter.
Ed Gein.
Gein. He was born to George and Augusta Gein, and he also had a brother who's about 5 years older than him named Henry. Now, his dad was an alcoholic and kind of a pushover. He could not keep a job, and his mom, like, secretly, low-key hated him. But in all of his odd jobs, Ed and his brother Henry kind of worked with him and learned some skills from him. So his dad was a carpenter at one point in time. He was a hunter. He was a tanner, so he would tan like the hides of animals. And so Ed actually learned all these skills. And they eventually opened up a store called Gein's Meat Market. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like off Chainsaw Massacre. Now, they thought this store was going to be the answer to their money problems, but it wasn't. It just kind of just did okay, probably because an alcoholic was running
Facts.
it. By the time Ed was about 8 years old, his mom, Augusta, decided she wanted to move to the country. Not because she just wanted to live the country life, because she believed that the city was corrupt and that it was very evil and that they were going to taint Ed's precious little soul and Henry's precious little soul. So they bought a 155-acre farm in Plainfield, Wisconsin.
Mm.
So that's how he gets to Plainfield. But 155 acres, that's a big old
That's
farm.
a lot of...
It's a big white farmhouse. They were isolated, but this house had no plumbing, no running water, no insulation, and no electricity. They just lived a great life. out there.
Okay.
The only time Ed and Henry got to leave the farm was to go to school. Mom was a very, very overly devout Lutheran. And so after school, each day, Augusta, the mama, would sit them down and make them read the Bible, or she would preach her teachings. She raised them to believe that the world was evil, that women were vessels of sin, and that drinking and immorality were instruments of the devil, quote unquote. So everything was bad. Everything's the devil. Bobby Boucher's mom, basically.
Yeah.
So a very overbearing mom. Is that usually a characteristic of serial killers?
I think it might be.
Mm-hmm. Also, premarital sex is a very unforgivable sin. Divorce was a sin, so it's the only reason why she didn't divorce her husband. And she took the Bible very literal. And if you broke one of the sins or rules in the Bible, like, you just go to hell, period. Like, there's no gray area, there's no repenting, there's no Hail Marys, there's no confession, there's no anything.
You're just done.
All women are Jezebels and sinful.
Oh, praise be.
Yes.
Blessed be the fruit.
Okay, so Ed and Henry had no other socialization. So another commonality that we hear in a lot of our future killers is no socialization. They had no friends. They were not allowed to date. If they did make friends outside of somebody whom they might see in church, they got punished. And they could only have her. Pretty normal.
Mm-hmm.
Ed was described as strange, a loner, to himself. He would sometimes giggle to himself. He was made fun of for his droopy eye and his speech impairment. So bullying and a loner.
Yeah.
Red flags all over the place. And one day at 14 years old, he just came home from school and decided he was never going back. And Mom was like, bet. Stay at home with me all day long.
Oh, my God.
I'm all you need in this world.
No.
So he his dad died about that time too. So he was like, I need to be a man, and I'm going to take odd jobs around town for people to help make extra money. Maybe we can turn on some water, get some plumbing one day.
Oh my God.
Most of these jobs, though, consisted of babysitting the town folks' kids.
Oh,
So
no.
here's this guy I just described as a little bit slower, speech impairment, droopy eyes, which, he can't help all that. Socialization was very off, and the locals would pay him to watch their kids very often, but he got along great with kids.
Oh, did he?
And actually more than adults. Ed was very happy with his weird life. Like, he loved his mom, and he loved, like, that he quit school, and he loved his house with no plumbing. But Henry had a little bit of sense. Henry was like, this ain't right. Ed, let's just move away. Me and you, let's run away together. We can have women. We can
have one.
we can get jobs. We can take care of ourselves. Mom's crazy. And Ed hated when Henry talked bad about their mom. He got so mad at him, and he would ignore him. And so this put a rift in their relationship.
And now a word from our sponsors.
All right, if you love smoothies or if you love your protein in the morning, you need to get you a Blend Jet. You can do that if going to blendjet.com. If you enter the code BHH12, you get a discount. And let me tell you, these things are portable. They are easy to use. They can fit in your cup holder. You can have it at home, or you can have it in your office like I do. Right this morning, I had my blueberry banana one
How was
with
it?
some chia seed.
Wasn't chunky or anything?
It was very smooth. When I have it in my shaker, it is a little chunky. So this is a great alternative.
I love it.
It is battery powered, so all you have to do is plug it in every 2 weeks, and the battery never runs down.
Oh my gosh. I love battery powered things.
Go to BlendJets and order you a BlendJet and get a discount.
Thanks, April, for sharing.
Did you know you could be putting oil and chemicals in your coffee? I love coffee creamer, but I don't think I've ever turned the bottle around to actually see what's inside. When I did, I found out many of my favorite creamers contain ingredients I would never intentionally add to my coffee cup, like canola oil, dipotassium phosphate, ew, and artificial flavors. Laird Superfood all started when big wave surfer Laird Hamilton needed morning fuel that could allow him to spend the entire day chasing the ultimate wave. He couldn't find anything in the market that met his ingredient standards, so made himself the ultimate plant-based creamer. Laird Superfood started and launched its first product, Original Superfood Creamer, in 2015. Laird Superfoods contain no artificial flavors, colors, or additives, and no sugars from highly refined corn syrup. All Laird products are sustainably sourced and thoroughly tested to ensure that you're incorporating the cleanest, finest fuel into your routine. All Laird products are also made of all-natural whole food ingredients, and they are crafted from the highest quality all-natural real food ingredients. Are you ready to feel more energized, focused, and supported? Go to lairdsuperfood.com and add nourishing plant-based foods to fuel you from sunrise to sunset. Use our promo code BOO at checkout to save 15% off your purchase today.
And now a word from our sponsors.
I'm your puzzle pal, and I'm going to tell you about my latest obsession, Wongo puzzles. These things are the real deal, folks. They're high quality, handcrafted, and perfect for anyone who loves a good challenge, but doesn't want to dedicate their entire kitchen table to puzzles for a week. Trust me, I've been there. And I might still be there. But I got one of these actually for Christmas. I loved it. I did it, and I was so proud of myself. And they have all these cool designs, and you need to go to wongopuzzles.com and use our discount, BHH. You get 10% off, and I really want to know if you'll order one of these puzzles, what you think about it, because it's so fun, and I need to order like 5.
Cure hydration. If you are obsessed with your hydration like I am, this may be something good for you. This is something that is so easy forget about the Gatorade. That just dehydrates you even more. And if you don't like the taste of coconut water, try Cure Hydration. You can go to my offer link. It is zen.ai/BHH20. This is vegan. It's no added sugars. It's just a little packet you could put in your water. Or if you're really smart during happy hour, you could put it into your Tito's. It is just as effective as an IV drip. And it's, if you do not like the taste of water, it's not as boring as water, not as sugary as the sports drink. And if you're an athlete, it'll give you the best performance. Or if you just get brain fog or headaches because you do not stay hydrated.
Brain frog?
Brain fog. The solution is Cure Hydration. So go to that link, enter the code. You can go to my offer link. It is zen.ai/BHH20. Cure Hydration.
What? I thought the mom was so mean.
Yeah, but Ed loved his mom. Henry had some sense enough to know mama was crazy.
Yeah.
But Ed was just very, very devoted to his mama. So one day on May 16th, 1944, a brush fire started on their land, and Big Brother Henry went out to try to put it out. And it grew and it grew and it grew. And Ed tried to help him, and something went wrong because Ed drove up to the fire station a little bit after this fire started and told the firefighters that he lost track of Henry in the smoke and he can't find him. And so when they showed back up to the property, Ed led him straight to Henry's body, and he was lying face down. There was no burns on him, but there were bruises and gashes on his head. His death was ruled asphyxiation or smoke inhalation, and that was it. Like, Big Brother Henry was dead. Ed was not questioned. There was no official autopsy, and he did not have to explain the bruising on Henry's head. Some now say that this was Ed's first killing.
Did he light the fire too?
No, the brush fire just happened.
Oh.
So maybe this was just an opportunity.
Could have been arson.
Could have been arson. They said that he was so upset with Henry trying to leave them and that he disrespected their mom that he got rid of Henry.
He had to do what he had to do, you know. I mean, Henry was not going by the rules. He's not following the rules. Yeah. He's not playing along.
And that's actually what Ed said at Henry's
funeral.
He
cut his losses.
He said
that's
Henry,
what he said at the funeral.
Basically, he was like, Henry would have ended up being a disappointment. So he was better off dead anyways.
Oh my gosh.
And he seemed to be real pleased that he had his mom all to himself. Dad's gone.
Of course.
Henry's gone. Just me and you, Mom.
Yep.
Me and you, Mom.
Let's become lovers.
So it's about a year and a half later. And Augusta has a stroke. She was paralyzed for a while.
Oh, no.
But sweet little son Ed was by her side day and night. And this, if you've seen the movie Psycho, Norman Bates, mom's in the bed and he's kind of imagining talking to his mom, but he's by her side day and night, bringing her food, bringing her water. She's constantly yelling his name. And so that's kind of where they get this from. He waits on her hand and foot until she recovers. When they recover, they decide to go for a walk and they visit some neighbors, a man and a woman neighbor. And the male neighbor, gets pissed at the neighborhood dog, trigger warning for Caroline.
Oh, no.
And beats the dog bloody.
That's rude.
Bloody. But this didn't faze Augusta or Ed. What fazed Augusta is the fact that she learned that these neighbors were not married and they were living together. They were shacking up.
Oh my gosh.
And this stressed her out so that she actually had a stroke and she died that night. And Ed blamed those neighbors forever for killing his mom because they were living in a mortal sin.
Oh, no.
So this is December 1945, and his mom is dead, and Ed is devastated.
Devastated.
He was alone. At his funeral, people reported that he was hysterical, like childlike crying. After the funeral, he goes back home, and her room is in pristine condition, and he just leaves it like it is. Nails the door shut and boards it up.
Okay.
And to never go in there again.
Okay.
And then he throws himself into all things sinful that she forbid him to do. The woman's body, porn. He reads about cannibalism. He reads about Nazi torture things. The house becomes quickly trashed. And he kind of goes down the drain at home. But in the community, he's just the same old Ed Gein. He continued to do odd jobs like handyman jobs and babysitting jobs. He was about 39 years old at this time. People liked him. He came off harmless. He was a little bit of pervert sometimes because he was caught staring at women in a creepy way. But it gets a little bit weirder. People start noticing him lurking around the house at night, staring into the windows or staring at the women. Remember, women are forbidden to him. So he's getting a little bit more curious, I guess, about women. He's 39 years old. He's probably never even touched a woman.
His mom.
Maybe his mama.
Mm-hmm.
One family just feels bad for him, and they invite him over for dinner. And so he spends the whole dinner staring at one of the women guests, not talking, not eating, just staring out of his droopy little eye.
Gosh, no.
It gets so weird that they end dinner early, send him home. But one of the kids that lives in the house wakes up in the middle of the night screaming and said that Ed had come into his room asking where the lady was from dinner. But they never reported it because they didn't know if it was a nightmare. They didn't know if it was just Ed being innocent. They didn't know. They never reported it until way later.
What?
So now it's 1947, so about 2 years after his grandma dies, and Ed picks up a new habit. He starts to visit the cemetery where his mom was buried late at night, and he holds full conversations with her. He's there for hours. This also happens on Psycho, the movie. Norman has full, long conversations with his dead mom that's not there. He's hallucinating on Psycho. He then starts to watch the obituaries that come out in the paper and he's looking at the pictures because he wants to find women who have died. And who do you think these women look like?
His mom.
His mommy. Because after these women die and they get buried, what do you think he goes to do?
I think he just, goes and visits them maybe and could possibly try to dig them up. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got some skills where he decides to dig up these women that look like his mamas. And he brings their bodies home or pieces of their bodies, just depends on what he needs. He would at first use their bodies to practice his taxidermy skills.
Oh?
He would create household objects using just bones and skins and body parts. We find more of this later on, I'm going to tell you about. He would get the skin and the face of the bodies, and he would sew together masks, which is where Leatherface comes in. His goal was to make a full bodysuit made of female skin so that he could wear it. He missed his mom so much that this is his way of being with her. Now, Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, he was Hannibal Lecter's is the serial killer that they kind of talked to find Buffalo Bill. And so Buffalo Bill would kidnap bigger women, starve them so their skin would get saggy, and then he would skin them to make a woman suit. So that's where Buffalo Bill inspired. That's where they got Buffalo Bill from, Ed Gein.
Which one was it? It puts the lotion on.
Him.
That's Buffalo Bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I mean, I watched that movie when did it come out? A long, forever ago.
You're supposed to watch it every time it comes on.
Okay, but listen, so I obviously didn't know about, like, I need to go back and watch it knowing all the things I know now about people, because I had no clue who these people were probably back then.
Yes. There's going to be some more too. It is my all-time favorite movie. I'll watch it at least a couple times a year.
I know.
But he realized that, it's too hard using bodies of dead people, that their skin is just not going to salute. Their skin is not going to last. He needs fresh skin, maybe a live skin. So he finds a new target, and this target's name is Mary Hogan, also known as Dirty Mary.
Dirty Mary?
Yeah. What? Oh, we need to make a drink out of call it Dirty Mary. So she owned Hogan's Tavern in town. And on December 8th, 1954, so look at this time in between. So 1947, he starts visiting and robbing graves. So not until 1954 does he kill somebody. So that's a big little waiting period. He waits outside and watches all the customers leave. And then he walks in right before it closes. He shoots her in the head, execution style, with a .32 caliber gun. He drags her body like a carcass to his sled. So he walks down there dragging a sled down there. So he drags her body to the sled and then drags her back to his family farm. Oh my! He took her to his barn. He pulled her up on his pulley that he used to hang his hogs or the deer upside down, and he mutilated her body. So remember Texas Chainsaw Massacre when all the pigs and in the meat house or whatever? So that's inspired by the Gein meat market.
Oh,
but
Animal American Horror Story. Yeah.
Yeah. And he gutted her like from sternum to torso.
Well, did he encourage Saw as well or anything? Like,
could. I mean, it wasn't listed, but could have. A customer, so anyways, he gut her. All her innards were outed, who mutilated her body, and he skinned her. So the next day, the customer came into the tavern where she worked and noticed there was blood and money on the ground. So he called the police, and the police came in, and all they found was the bullet that was used to shoot her. There were no other clues. And then what kind of investigation can you do back then? If there's no cameras, they probably couldn't dust for fingerprints. It's 1950 whatever for... Unless you see somebody doing it, there's...
I don't know what they did. I guess that's why there's so many...
Unsolved.
Yeah.
So that case went cold. Poor Mary Hogan's case was not solved until a few years later when a woman named Bernice Warden went missing. She owned the local hardware store. And Ed became mesmerized with her. Guess why?
Why? She looked like his mommy?
She looked like his mom.
Oh my gosh.
She reminded him of Miss Augusta. So he became mesmerized by her and decided to go into the store November 16th, 1957 to buy a gallon of antifreeze. Now, he also knew a lot of the men in town were gone deer hunting because it was deer season. The men would leave. They'd shoot all the deer they could because that's what they ate on for the winter. They ate on all the venison. So when he walked in, he locked the door behind him. He grabbed a gun, her gun, from the wall, loaded it with his own bullet, and shot her execution style. Drug her body like prey, like he's just a hunter, like you would drag a deer to his truck, threw it in the back of the pickup truck, and stole $41 cash from the register and took her to his house. Now, the next day, Bernice's husband, Frank, came home and noticed Bernice was not home. Went to the hardware store, noticed that there was a mess. Now, Bernice's husband was DTF because he knew something was wrong, and he decided to look at the receipts to see who was the last person who purchased something, because that's where he was going to start to go look for his wife. And the last purchase was made by Ed Gein, a gallon of antifreeze. So he went to the police, and the police immediately went to Ed's house.
Oh my gosh.
Now, here's the triggers, because this will quickly become the House of Horrors. They started in the summer kitchen. And back then, the summer kitchen was the woodshed next to the house. Bernice was hung by her heels, just like Mary was. Upside down, she was gutted from sternum to her, whatever this torso is, neck to torso, and she was decapitated. And the main house was not only trashed, it not only smelled horrible.
Oh, I can imagine this.
But it was covered with body parts and bones. They found a chair that was reupholstered with human skin. They found a lampshade made from a human face. They found a wastebasket made of human skin. They found leggings made of human leg skin, a belt made of nipples. Can you just picture
a nipple belt?
A nipple belt. A corset made of human torso. Female lips used as a window shade drawstring.
Okay, I would actually love to go see like a museum that is like kind of recreated with all this, just to be completely
what sucks
shocked.
is and I'll say this in a minute, but they took pictures and they like did their reports and they got rid of all this, because this, like, we go crazy over true crime now, but they really did back then. And so people wanted to get a hold of pictures, just the descriptions back then. People did replicas of these things just to have them. So there are some replicas. There's not very many pictures out there, but there were some in that Museum of Death that I went to in Louisiana.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh, but I'm not done. So the window shade of female lips, skulls were impaled on the bedposts. Bowls and kitchen utensils were made of skulls, so like you eat cereal out of a skull. Hand skinned to make gloves. So instead of you putting on gloves, you're putting on somebody's hand skin. 10 face skins that he made different masks with. And the police recognized one of those faces. When they looked at one of the masks, they recognized it was Mary Hogan, the bartender. This is only a town of 700 people, so you know they're going to recognize. They're going to be like, oh, that's Mary Ellen from down the road.
There's no eyes or a nose. Or is there a nose?
On Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's a nose. Actually, there's probably not a nose, because guess what? They also found fingernails and about 9 noses separated. And in a box, there was vulvas, the genitalia.
BHH is disavowing this conversation.
Shit's falling everywhere. In a box, there was about 9 different women's vaginas. They were like sliced off in a box.
Were they like used as like...
Ooh, I'm going to tell you what they're used for. In the refrigerator. You know, every serial killer's got to have something in their refrigerator.
Yeah. I need to go. I'm watching a movie about all this tonight because I forgot about all this stuff.
They found organs and a human heart in the pot of water. Think this was on Silence of the Lamb too, when they opened up his refrigerator. Only one room in the house was pristine and untouched, but they had to force it open because it was nailed shut, and that was Mama Augusta's room. So, like I said, they processed all this evidence and they got rid of it because they didn't want it to risk getting out. All we have now is just replicas. So, Ed's taken to jail, and he sat in jail for about 30 hours and refused to talk. But eventually, he made a deal. He said, if you bring me a slice of apple pie with some Wisconsin cheddar cheese on top of it, I'll tell you everything. No. Wisconsiners and their cheese, it has to be good. But on an apple pie?
That's disgusting.
That isn't.
And random.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, you're weird.
Wisconsin people, is that normal?
Cheese on pie?
Yeah.
Maybe they put cheese on everything like we do ketchup.
Yeah. Or ranch.
Or ranch. Yeah, ranch.
So he was interrogated? He was interrogated for 9 whole hours. He was given a lie detector test. I didn't even know they had those back then. And they tried to tie him to a bunch of other deaths and missing persons cases because they had found so many body parts. They were like, he had to have been killing for years, but he was not connected to any of the other missing persons cases. In fact, he told him exactly what graves he stole from. And he says, I didn't even steal whole bodies from all of them. Sometimes I just would cut the pieces off that I needed. So if I only needed a hand, I would just cut off the hand. And if the hand had jewelry on it, I didn't steal the jewelry.
No.
I left the jewelry there.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm not a thief.
Yeah,
I'm just a weird killer.
Yeah. They're already dead. They don't feel it.
Yeah.
You know.
So he took them to all the graves that he actually went to. But he did tell them that his goal, he tried to create a woman suit so that he can become his mom and crawl into her skin. It's like, why did he just, on Psycho, he actually got his mom's body and put her back in the bed. So that's what I was waiting for when I was reading this story, but he never touched his mom's grave.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought he dug up his mom and wore her face.
Nope.
No.
Just people who looked like his mom.
What's this called? Like autogynephilia or something? Like the...
Is that a word? Is that a thing?
I think it is. It's like you get a fetish from dressing like a woman face or something.
Well, they diagnosed him with some... We'll get to that, but Sigmund Freud has something where the male kid gets obsessed with the opposite sex parents as a young child, but you grow out of that. But when you don't grow out of that and you have a weird relationship with your parent, then it becomes very hyper psychosexual. So that's kind of like what he had.
How did it get sexual though? Okay.
How did he become sexual?
Yeah, or like, how does it like evolve into?
Oh, him.
You're obsessed with your mom. I get it, but then at what point does it get?
Oh, I don't know.
You're just mentally.
You have to be predisposed to it, but then also like the way she forbade women and porn, but you still have these urges, and the only woman that you're allowed to see or talk to is your mama. You got to put those urges and desires somewhere. But don't show your kid porn at a young age because then they're going to become a serial killer. But you can't forbid it. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do? Okay. So he wanted to crawl into his mom's skin. Motive.
Yeah, normal.
Totally normal.
Yeah.
Trent tells me that all the time.
I was going to ask.
He even admitted to putting severed those vaginas that were in the box over his penis and wearing women's underwear over that.
He wasn't even tucking?
Huh?
He wasn't tucking it?
I was trying to picture it. I was like, do you put the vagina over the penis or do you tuck it? Because on Buffalo Bill, on Signs of the Lamb, he tucked it. Remember behind? And he just did his little dance in the mirror where he tucked his. So maybe he tucked it. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he just put the whole thing over his penis and just wore women's underwear.
Yeah.
Weird. Was he the first trans? I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like it.
While telling them, okay, so while he was telling them all this, he was speaking totally normal, like having a normal conversation, like it was like telling them what he had for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nothing
all
wrong
I
with
did
it.
was put the penis over my vagina and put their underwear over it and wore it around the house
that's,
a little bit.
Who
And
doesn't do that? Like, that's.
I mean, I just decapitated their head and put it on my bedpost so I can see it when I woke up in the morning.
Yeah. I mean.
Just said it like it was totally normal.
Mm-hmm.
He was still very friendly. He was very cooperative and childlike. They were unsure if he knew how horrible that it actually was because of the way he was communicating it to them.
Yeah, he really didn't. He really didn't.
He admitted to Mary Hogan's murder, but maintained that Bernice, so the second lady, was an accident. He accidentally shot her, accidentally threw her in the back of his pickup truck, accidentally hung her on meat hooks, accidentally decapitated her, and gutted her.
Accidents
All
happen,
accidents.
April. Accidents happen.
I mean, that's 14 accidents in a row.
Well, sometimes it's multiple accidents that happen, and they occur back to back. And
Plethora of accidents?
yeah, I mean, I get it. Accidents.
You should have been on the jury. This was a media, if they had media back then, frenzy. Like, people were obsessed with this story. But then people who lived there were panicking because they often shopped at the Gein meat market. Oh. And so rumors started that Ed would kill these people, chop them up,
put
and
a little bit of
sell
that
them
meat in
in the meat market. Or go get these dead bodies, cut them up, and sell them in the meat market. There were so many people hospitalized for stomach issues.
No.
It was psychosomatic. Like, they were just that sick and that scared. Like, and it didn't happen.
Oh,
There's no record that he actually did that. But just in their head, it happened and they were sick. So they all went to the hospital.
Just the thought of maybe having consumed a human body part or piece or human meat.
Yeah. Some people are like that. Like, I could tell my nephew that he just ate something that's like 3 days old and he'll puke.
Oh, gosh. Well, Chrissy Teigen, she wants to eat human, so.
She would get hungry.
She would be like, it's tasty.
There was even Gein humor all over town. So restaurants started selling Gein burgers.
No, they didn't.
They would name different menu items Gein's ladyfingers for chicken strips.
Why? They're glorifying it.
Yes. And so they act like us new people do that.
Yeah, like it's a new thing. Yeah.
Way back then. Ed was found not guilty by reason of insanity, and he was diagnosed with schizophrenia and went to the Central State Hospital for the criminally insane. He was also diagnosed as a sexual psychopath. Some say that his mental illness stemmed from his love-hate relationship towards women, which later turned into a full-scale psychosis after his mother died. And then he wanted to become a woman.
So
that is it. I don't even know when he died. I just ended there.
Didn't he die recently?
Knife was born in 1906. He'd been 1 trillion years old.
Oh, yeah, that was not right.
Let me just look. Oh, man.
Was Psycho the one with the hotel, the Bates Motel?
Yeah.
So was there any hotel situation in their life, or that was just like a made up thing?
No, Psycho took so on Texas Chainsaw Massacre, people would stop at this store, ask for directions. They'd give them the wrong directions. And they'd end up at this house, right? So the store was like their meat market. At Psycho, on the Bates Motel, or on Psycho, the original Psycho, he had a house. And these women would come and stay at this house or this hotel. And he hated women, but he was obsessed with women. That's when he would go and stab them in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
But no, there was no hotel in this one. So they just changed the story from the store to the hotel.
Which movie would you say is kind of the most accurate to his?
I think they took bits and
Silence of the Lambs?
pieces from all. So like Norman Bates and the relationship with his mother is all Gein all the way. But like the MO of Buffalo Bill was what Gein did. And Leatherface was really, that was just a slasher movie that they got the masks from him.
Yeah.
And the store, the meat market, and the fact that the family, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the Bloody Benders and Ed Gein. So there's this Bloody Bender family. The Bloody Bender farm where I think they had a store. And that was true. They would kill people and they would bury them at their store, and then I think like plant vegetables and like tomatoes, and so they would sell their tomatoes at their store. People. And so it was a whole family of murderers, and so that's kind of more like Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. So I think a little bit of all of them.
Died in 1984.
At age 77. There you go. Buried next to his family in Wisconsin.
Oh,
next to his mama and his brother. So there we go. There's Ed. We'll put a nice picture of Ed Gein. This is my thing. He falls under the serial killer. Like if you have a serial killer coloring book, he's in there. But is he a serial killer? I guess he meets the criteria of 3 if he did kill his brother, because it has to be a 3 series of 3 killings, and then there has to be rest periods in between. So and there has to be some type of weird like MO pathology behind it. So I guess so. You just think of the serial killers as like a ton of bodies, and he was only convicted, I think, for 1.
Okay, I'm looking up Psycho, and I didn't realize Anne Heche is in it.
The newest one?
Well, no, this like old one.
Oh, okay.
But she's the lady who crashed her car into a house just recently, like a year.
Yeah,
and like blew up, and then like was on the gurney or the.
Is she alive?
No, she was on the thing, and she popped up right before she got in the ambulance, and then she died.
Is she dead?
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't remember if she died.
But she popped. It was like that needs to go in the movie. Psycho. That like kind of fits that. But was she what was her role in that movie? Was she his mom?
No, because she would have been young.
American Psycho. What's American? Okay, well, I'm gonna go back and watch some stuff tonight.
Listen, you cannot be a true crime person if you have not seen Psycho.
Well, yeah, and I've seen it, but I just feel like it was so long ago that I saw these movies. I need to go back because they're in 1998 is when that one came out.
Oh.
But that's the one with Vince Vaughn and Anne Heche. That's probably not the...
It's a remake. Yeah, it wasn't the original. And Bates Motel, that was good. I had to watch all of that. That was like a newer Netflix doc. But that's all I have. There's you.
I love it.
An oldie. And shout out to Jackie from Crime Zone. Jacqueline from Crime Zone. She's the one. I was like, I cannot get inspired. I need a short one. And she was like, do Ed Gein. You'll knock it out. That's an easy story. And it was.
Who's Jack? Who?
Our Spanish podcast.
Oh. I was like, what's their podcast called?
Crimen de Zona. Crime Zone.
Oh. Is it actually called Crime Zone or Crema de Zona?
It's in Spanish, so it's...
Okay.
That's all we got, y'all.
Awesome.
All
Love
right.
it. Now you've inspired me to go watch Silence of the Lamb and Psycho.
Yeah. Forget football today.
Yeah.
Go watch the good movies.
I love it. So good.
If y'all have not done so, rate us and do a review. We have not gotten any in a while. And then go ahead and subscribe to Patreon.
Yep. And then share it with some friends. You know, why not?
Don't forget to
Stay aware.
stay alive.
And always be DTF.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Everybody has a story worth telling. I'm Corey Duncan. On Best Story Ever, I take guests that you know through their most unique and captivating stories. The best part? I hear the story for the first time when you do. Everyone has a story. What's yours? Find Best Story Ever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hola, yo soy Jackie.
Y yo soy Jessica.
Y esto es Zona del Crimen. Un podcast donde hablaremos sobre casos de crímenes reales
y eventos impactantes que han quedado marcados a través del tiempo. Recuerden que nos pueden seguir en Facebook, Instagram
o donde escuches tus podcasts favoritos.
Hey, I'm Blair.
And I'm Brittany. And we're the host of
By the Cover Podcast.
We cover everything from mysteries, thrillers, romance, chick lit, and even some smut.
Don't forget the smut.
Yeah.
We're so excited to get this thing going and share this with you guys. We've been talking about this for months, and it's finally happening.
Yes.
Special shout out to Rogue Media for helping us with this.
For sure. You can find us on Instagram at bythecover_podcast.
You can also find us on Facebook and TikTok, so don't forget to give us a follow on those two also.
And we are so excited to dive into some of our favorite books and share those with you.
We can't wait. Hope you love it.
Hi, and welcome to Bustles and Bangers with your hostess, Rachel and Christopher.
I love it when you say my name.
And you didn't say hi.
I didn't. You just kept going. I'm going to introduce the book. I'm not reading it. It's because I don't like reading.
Girls like cowboy butts, you know, and those jeans don't hide anything. Find us on Instagram at Bustles and Bangers or on RogueMediaNetwork.com.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.